you're looking for a hot hatch, but a normal hot hatch just won't suffice. It has to be the hottest of the hot hatchbacks. So what we have here today is the Megane RS Trophy R, and this is the Nürburgring edition. So, well, let's not beat around the bush. It's £72,140 for a Renault. But bear with me there. So the trick kit that's on this car, we're on a wonderful little bit of road round here now. The trick bits on this car, this has Öhlins suspension, which is adjustable, so you can have it super hard for track, you can have it nice and compliant for UK roads. It has an Akrapovic exhaust. It has carbon fibre wheels that, if you could see over my shoulder, are on the back seat, which it doesn't have. This gives up the four-wheel steer that the normal Megane has and just goes with the normal steering. And if I'm totally honest with you, it's much better for it. It has carbon ceramic front brakes, which, as you can probably hear every time I slow down, they squeak. They are massive. They barely fit in the front wheels. It's quite impressive, to be honest with you. The front end grip and the fact that it's got rid of the four-wheel steer actually, I think, is a much better thing. The normal Megane RS feels sometimes a little bit knife edge and feels like the turn is a little bit quick, and it sort of feels, I don't know, it feels a little bit unpredictable. So this one is much more predictable. The front end grip is outrageous. I got to use this yesterday just on an airfield, just to see what it was like with the TC turned off and give it a bit of stick, and I'll put that at the end of the film. I'm really sorry about the footage. It's not very good, but I literally had 10 minutes in the car with a camera running, just due to the fact I was doing a film with love cars, and I'm sure that'll be up soon. So this Megane RS Trophy R has 296 horsepower, 295 pounds-foot of torque. It will do 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, but it's not about that. It's the way this car will go round corners. It's done an unbelievable time round the Nürburgring, and I can really see why. The diff in the front end, you can feel it working all the time when you're hard on it, and when you're hard on the gas in mid-corner, you can feel the diff pulling you into the apex of the corner. It's remarkable. It's very, very clever indeed. The rear end will move around a little bit when you want it to, because you can really get the weight over the nose of this car and get the rear end moving. And especially as trail braking is so easy in this car, just due to the fact that you put all of the weight over the nose, and because the brakes, the ceramic brakes, are so unbelievably strong, they're quite sharp on day-to-day driving around a normal road, but on a racetrack you can brake so late, but you feel it on its tiptoes. It's really, really cool, and it feels amazing. The way they have made this car feel so much more responsive over the normal one is obviously by getting rid of a load of weight. They've got rid of 130 kilograms out of this car, and they've gone to unbelievable lengths to do so. They've got rid of the rear seats. They've changed the exhaust to a titanium Akrapovic exhaust, which is super noisy, bangs, pops and crackles, sounds brilliant. You do sound like a bit of a yobbo though when you're driving around town. The windows, all the glass is a little bit thinner. They've even given you a smaller sat-nav screen, which shaves off 250 grams. I mean, they've gone to extensive lengths. The seats, they're bucket composite seats that are really, really comfortable actually. They're not actually that bad, and they make you feel quite special. It feels a little bit more sort of Porsche RS product because of it. Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for out of a hot hatch. If you're looking for something that you want to go and do track days in and want to go and genuinely really wring its neck round a racetrack, I can't think of a better hot hatchback. And the fact that this is a front-wheel drive playful hot hatchback there's something quite appealing about that. I think it's really, really cool. There are a few things about it that I don't like necessarily. I think the gear shift, for me, just feels a bit cheap, unfortunately. It feels quite sort of rubbery and elasticy, and it doesn't feel like the gear has gone in when you're trying to be really fast around a racetrack. It's a bit too, I don't know, it feels just not very compliant. And I think they could have done better with this. It just feels like a normal Megane one to me. There's loads of different modes in the car that you can go for that alter all sorts of different things. If you go in, it sounds so much more aggressive. So you can go into the menu here and you can click on race, which turns the ESC off and makes it all sort of aggressive, and the throttle response becomes much sharper and the bangs and pops happen much more often than you can probably hear. You can do it in personal, so you can set up different things for yourself, for your preferences, and then you can have it in sport, which turns the ESC back on, but makes everything else all nice and aggressive. We're in sport mode there, and it really gets a wriggle on, and it really sounds really great. One thing I would say is, heel and toe is quite difficult in this car if you're just pottering around. Unless you're absolutely on it, because the brakes are so unbelievably sharp, you actually feel like you have to be leaning on them massively to be able to lean across onto the throttle pedal. The steering wheel, lovely, clad in Alcantara, super cool. This one's obviously done a load of miles, it's actually been on Top Gear, in all the magazines, etc, etc. So it's got that sort of worn look to it, so God knows who's been holding this and what they've been touching before. Ugh. But you know, it is quite cool, and I'm sure fresh out the box it is amazing. It is all very Renault in here, and it is all very French, but at the same time there is something enormously lovable about that. Lots of people love to have a French hot hatchback. There's something extremely pleasant about a French hot hatchback, and they really are very, very good at it. And this is no exception. This is an extremely, extremely capable, extremely fun car, but it is mentally expensive. The carbon fibre wheels, they're basically exactly where the rear seat should be, so effectively in chopping out all of the weight that they've chopped out, they've then given you a load of wheels that you then stick on your rear seats. So I'm carrying around a load of weight, which doesn't make a massive amount of sense to me. That's what you get for having a track day car. You've got a track day set of tyres in the back. There you go. When you're on it, you can heel and toe coming into. God, look at the way that goes around corners. It is outrageous the way the front end works. You've got a bit of spinning up there. It's so impressive. You can really chuck it into corners and have ultimate confidence. These tyres are very sticky tyres. It's quite cold at the moment, but once you get them warm, they just feel absolutely like glue. It's amazing. They are very, very good, but you do have to get temp in them. You get a little beep to tell you when to change, which is lovely because you can then not look down the rev counter. And it is so impressive. And on a B road, I mean, there's not much that could keep up with this, especially on a dry road. I mean, you might be looking at Golf Rs and things like that, but in order to really wring this car's neck and get the best out of it, you have to be quite good. I'm not going to lie to you, because it does move around, and you know, the chassis is very, very stiff, but it is very, very, very quick. And it's not about the 0 to 60 time. It's not about that with this car. It's about how fast and how well this can hold on to speed going round corners. It's alarming. It's so, so good. And the feeling through the steering and everything, it's just, yeah, it's a brilliant, brilliant car. Like, I'd prefer it was stripped out even more. You know, that's what I'd prefer. I think that, because if you're buying one of these at 72 grand, you've obviously got a few quid, and you're probably not going to use it on a daily basis, I don't imagine. You're going to use it as a track day weapon. I would want them to get rid of more plastic and more crap materials and make it into an even more stripped out car that I could genuinely go and really upset some supercars on a track day. They had to give some creature comforts, I'm sure, so otherwise everyone would have been up in arms about the fact that there was no radio or, you know, sat nav or air conditioning or anything. But if you're buying one of these, that won't matter to you because you're using it on a track day, and anyone that's on a track day will know exactly what this car is all about and why you bought it. In actual fact, you bought a wicked little car. So that's ESC off, traction control off, and we're just going to go drive around, see how quick it'll go down the runway, see what it's like to move it around a bit. It's a very fast car. Obviously you've got 295 horsepower or something. You chuck it in here. Woo! 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 Off we go. She's quick, Let's see how fast it'll go down the runway. So right down here, we're at 100 now. 120. This car will do 163 miles an hour. That's 130. I've got plenty of runway left. The brakes are so strong. This one obviously having the optional carbon ceramics on it. Let's get him turned round, straight back down there. Let's see how quick we can get it to go down here. The runway's a bit bumpy. The Olin suspension dealing with it really well. So that's 120 now. 130. Oh, I think I'm coming out of it there. It's not really a track, but it gives me the opportunity to see what it's like under lateral load. You've got loads happens in the rear. You can really get the car to move around. It's got so much front end grip. It's unbelievable. You can see how this car managed to do the time that it did round the Nürburgring, and this being the Nürburgring special, it's the hottest of all of the hot hatchbacks. And thank you to Love Cars for letting me do that. If you are into your French, fast, hot hatchbacks, this is the Frenchest and the fastest of the hot hatchbacks at the moment. So go check one out if you want one.